All right, there's no doubt of the benefits and importance of teaching STEM or science, technology, engineering, and math subjects for the students in our area schools. And for the students involved with the Celt-X Robotics group at Bishop Ryan Catholic Secondary School, all of these subjects culminate to so much more. To share what these experiences have provided and how this group has come together to represent robotics on the world stage, we welcome, he's off camera, we'll get to him in a minute, Brendan Simons, but also Melina Ashali and Maddy Coleman. Hello and welcome to both of you ladies. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Pretty cool experience, I would have to say. Was it just the two of you that were part of this team? How did this all kind of culminate?
So we're part of a high school robotics team of about 30 students. And just recently we went to Detroit for the World Championship, where there were about 400 teams from 14 countries. And we actually finished second, which was quite an accomplishment for us.
I was going to say, that is. How many participated? Do you know the number off the top of your head?
There were about 400 teams there.
400 teams, you came in second. Melina, a group of 30 working on something like this together. It must have been great to be able to collaborate and talk about different ideas, successes and failures.
Yeah, for sure. Like at the start of our build season, which is a 6-week period where we build and design the robot, there's a lot of input from students and mentors alike as we come together and kind of decide what's the best way for us to create a robot that will eventually, hopefully, win the game and things like that.
Mm-hmm. What type of challenges did you run into while you were doing this?
A lot.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's a lot of prototyping involved in building the robot, a lot of design errors, like things that we thought would work but eventually didn't work that we would have to tweak and then redo, things like that.
Was there a certain type of criteria that you had to meet, that all robots have to meet, basically?
Yeah, so all of our robots are designed to play the same game. So a new game is released every year, and this year it was called First Destination Deep Space. Okay. So essentially we had to pick up balls and put them into different compartments that were at different levels, pick up large flat discs and stick them to the wall, and then climb an 18-inch step. Very
cool, very cool. And when you got there and you saw the other 399 robots, were you intimidated at all at one point? Were you like, those are great ideas, oh, we should have done that? What was kind of going through your minds when you were at the competition?
Going to Worlds is definitely an exciting experience because it's so interesting to see how 400 teams approach the problem in 400 different ways. So all the robots are different. And yeah, it is definitely scary to look at some of those robots and go, wow, you could just phenomenal robots. Yeah. But it's also really interesting to see how they approach the problem. And it's really interesting to talk to them and get to know their process and see how they did things.
And I guess, do you have to work on the fly a little bit as well while you're out there in case there are any issues with your robot once you transport it down to Detroit?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a pit team
in
our competition. So in between matches, if anything breaks, they're the ones responsible for kind of putting the robot back together again, or at least in working order. And so that happens a lot, and they're super important to the team.
We're seeing some video right now of the robot doing some work, but we have a very special feature here in the studio right now. Brendan Simons is here. Is he a teacher, volunteer?
He's our engineering mentor, so he's a professional engineer that volunteers with the team.
Thank you for clarifying that. He's standing by. Brendan, how you doing over there? Are you all set?
Yeah, we're all set over here.
Okay, I think we're going to get a camera on you because we would really like to see how this robot, are we getting things over there? I think the camera's being queued up right now. And here we go. There's Celt-X Robotics.
So I'm standing here with our robot Buzz. Buzz is one of the 2 robots that our students made. And they're very proud of it because it's a world champion finalist. Buzz has a lot of features. You can see it's a big robot, right? About person size, 120 pounds, stands 4 foot tall. And its job is to fly around a basketball court-sized field, pick up balls like this. So I can show when I retreat over here and pick up every 14-year-old's favorite controller here. An Xbox controller. I can throw this down here. Give it a little help. And he'll pick up a ball like that. We'll drive around, get close to our target, and shoot. So that's the game. Do that 15 more times in 3 minutes. Do it faster than the other guys. Hopefully you win world championships.
It's amazing to you, Brendan, but also to you. There we have this huge robot. Took 6 weeks to make. It's huge, but that whole process took less than basically 5 seconds, it looks like. But the amount of ingenuity behind it. Do you find that fascinating? I do.
Yeah, most definitely. It's a lot of work for what is essentially a 2-minute and 30-second match. So we put 6 weeks of building, 6 weeks of designing, 6 weeks of prototyping, and then we go and drive it around for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. But it's really important to make sure that it's all designed well so that you can use the full 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
This is all part of FIRST Robotics. What exactly is FIRST Robotics?
So it's an organization that has a whole bunch of different like programs that inspires young students to get involved with STEM and get started with like a JK level with the first LEGO League Junior. And so kids will be building little LEGO robots and then competing with those. First LEGO League, first Tech Challenge, and then eventually comes to us, which is FIRST Robotics. And so we're responsible for making 120-pound robots to play that game.
Wow. Are you aware, are there costs also attributed with this as well?
Yeah, so there's like team fees for us, but our team runs on about an $80,000 budget. So we spend about $30,000 in travel every year because we go to about 4 different competitions during the regular season and about 2 or 3 off-season events. About $30,000 in robot costs. That's like all the materials and all the building supplies we need for that. And then about $20,000 in like upkeep of our build facility, which is near Jackson Square. So it is an expensive hobby, but we're fortunate to be supported by corporate sponsors as well as our school board.
Yeah, saw some of the logos, and there you see some of the logos one more time on that robot. I think I see John Deere there, so it's important to have that community involvement. What is next for the team? World Championships, where do you go from here now?
That's a good question. So we actually have a couple different off-season events coming up. We'll hopefully be going to Indiana in July to compete there. And that's an extremely competitive competition. Over 100 teams apply and only 80 get to go. So we're looking forward to competing there. And then next season we hope to build on our successes and maybe take World Championship this time.
Will it all be with the same robot going into next year, or would you basically have to start from scratch, do you think?
So we start from scratch. Every year, FIRST puts out a different game. So our game, as Maddy mentioned earlier, was Destination Deep Space. So this year, or next year, it'll be a different game, and it'll be the same kind of thing. So you have so much time to design and create a robot, and then go off and compete with it.
I found it really interesting. Mr. Simmons was showing us there, or Simons, I should say. It was just basically a PS4 or an Atari, something so basic that we all have at home, and then from there you branch it out.
Yeah, it's cool. So we use Xbox controllers personally, and we have software that goes and decides what each button will do. But there are teams that use like Guitar Hero guitars, like rhythm pads, anything that's comfortable for the students to use. So we use Xbox controllers because we have a driver and operator who learn how to use those and use them comfortably.
Well, were either of you the driver or operator for this?
No, I didn't drive or operate. I'm the drive coach, so I stand behind them and like give strategic advice, tell them what to do, that kind of thing.
You're kind of a backseat driver giving directions.
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your role while you're at these competitions?
Oh, I was largely in part responsible for scouting. So there's so many different matches that go on during the day. So I sat in the stands and watched the robots and took notes on like which robots were really fast at making cycles or good at playing defense against other robots, because it's a 3 versus 3 robot alliance playing.
So not only are you building, there's also in-game adjustments that you have to make, as you alluded to with the pre-scouting. This sounds like pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, it's.
What got the two of you involved? You obviously kind of took different paths, but here you are together now on the same team.
Yeah, well, I joined in grade 9. I saw the robot driving around just at our club fair, and it's like, that's really cool. Yeah. I also had kind of an interest in STEM and building things, so I decided to try it out, and here I am 4 years later.
Yeah. And what about yourself?
Yeah. I'm actually in grade 12 now, and this was my first year on the team. And I got involved just because I'd seen the robot kind of around, and I knew that it existed. And Maddy was a friend of mine who told me to come out to the meeting. Like, I didn't know how to build anything. I didn't know how to use a screwdriver. No, I didn't know how to use a power drill or anything like that. So coming out to the meetings was a little intimidating, just because I didn't know what to do. But like, you learn so much over the course of 1 year, and you learn so much from mentors and other experienced students on the team. So by the end of it, you're a lot more confident going into like STEM things after.
Are these credit courses going towards schooling, or is this all kind of off the side extracurricular for you folks?
This is all off the side extracurricular. We don't get any school credit for it, but we do spend a lot of time there. We meet about 5 times a week for 4 hours.
That's a big commitment.
It is, most definitely.
20 hours a week. And you know what? You're not getting school credit for it, but you know what? You're getting so many life skills. it's the teamwork, it's the collaboration, it's the engineering skills that you're probably using. Have either of you kind of changed your course or your mind path where you kind of want to go since being through something like this?
Well, I've always known that I wanted to go into engineering, but involvement in the team has helped me decide what type of engineering I want to go into. So I always kind of knew I wanted to build things, I wanted to be an engineer, but being on the team has allowed me to explore the different aspects, and I really love mechanical, is what I found out.
Yeah.
I like building the robot and that kind of thing.
Yeah, what about you, Melina?
Kind of the same. I always knew that I wanted to go into something STEM post-secondary, but being on the team really solidified that. I know that there's a lot of people on the team who have kind of found their passions. Like our software student really enjoys coding and she wants to do that post-secondary because of the team, and a lot of people want to go into mechanical versus electrical engineering just because of their experiences on Celt-X.
Now I'm going to give you a chance here to pump Mr. Simon's tires here. What type of a mentor was he? What did you learn from him going through this process?
Brendan is fundamental to our team. We could not run without him. He's our lead engineering mentor, but he's responsible for helping to design the robot, and he does a lot of the major design things. But one thing that he does also is work super well with students. I've learned so much from him with grade 9. I started off super quiet, not really liking to get involved, but the team is super welcoming, and all the mentors are. And Brendan has taught me CAD. Brendan's taught me different mechanical fixes on the robot, and how to walk through a problem and solve it. So yes, this isn't working. This is how we solve it. This is how we walk through the process to make sure that we're covering everything.
Yeah. What do mom and dad think of? What's the family saying about all this, Melina?
Oh, they're super happy that I'm involved with robotics and getting involved with like my school and being able to represent STEM on such a large scale. And they're definitely proud that like I'm learning so many different skills that you're really not exposed to in any other setting.
Yeah. There's probably kids, people watching right now, they want to get involved with something like this. What would you recommend, suggest to maybe the youngsters that want to be part of something like this?
Well, throughout the school boards, there's a lot of FLL teams, which is First LEGO League, so it's designed for grades 5 through 8. And I know there's over 20 schools, Catholic schools, that have teams, so definitely get involved in those kinds of teams. They may seem like smaller and less important robots, but they're actually a lot of fun to play with the LEGO robots. So they learn the fundamental skills of engineering, they learn fundamental coding processes, and they learn all the skills like collaboration, working with team members, solving problems. So definitely getting involved in an FLL team is a great first step to eventually being on an FRC team.
Buzz's end of life, I guess, will probably come at some point after the final competition championship, maybe after Indiana, I think you said it was. What happens to Buzz? Do you take him apart, recycle, reuse him?
So Buzz we're not going to, because Buzz brought us to Worlds and Buzz won second place. So we're not going to take him apart. But our previous robots, this is our 5th year as a robotics team. So our previous robots we have taken apart and recycled for parts. Just sometimes we need things that we can't find in our shop. And so we just turn to the other robots and kind of just zombify them.
Yeah, but that makes a lot of sense. And again, the 5th year, as we continue to move forward, there we see a picture of Buzz. We haven't forgotten about you over there. Actually, you know what? Why don't we get you back in this? Why don't we? Yeah, well, let's blush a little bit more. Let's get you back into this conversation.
Sure.
What have you noticed, Brendan, over this time with the students and from your lens?
Let me tell you, this is the most rewarding thing I've ever volunteered for. Other people will coach for basketball or hockey or something. I'm a terrible hockey player, so this is what I coach because I'm good at it. When I started, it was just a push to try and share some time and do what I love with kids. And what I found 5 years later is watching that process from kids that come in grade 9 and they don't know, Phillips from Robertson, they don't know their hands from their feet. And by the time they're done, they're as strong as these 2 young ladies here who can speak about the program and coach the drive team to a world championship finish. So that process, seeing that, it's taken 5 years for me to see that, but it has been the most rewarding thing ever.
Are you ready to put another 5 years in?
Yeah, it seems like luck that way, isn't it? You know what? I wouldn't trade it. It's the first year I had to sit down with myself and have a good long think about whether I was willing to put the amount of 400 hours or whatever it is into this. And 5 years later, it's not even a question. This is just fantastic.
Because I can only imagine, as much as they have learned from you, you have probably just learned as much, if not more, from the students.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm a professional engineer, but just in terms of leading a team, doing the large team management, large budgets, but also, you know, all of the soft skills, when I meet other engineers who want to join the team, I say, think of the best sports movie you've ever thought. Think of that speech that the coach gives right before the final match in the locker room where he says, this is your chance, people, just get out there and get it, and everyone cheers, the final home run is scored. We get to do that on this team as mentors, so that's pretty great.
It sounds really cool. There's Buzz one more time. To you, my friend, thank you very much. To you, ladies, thank you very much for what you've done, what you are continuing to do, because you're also ambassadors and representing this great city of Hamilton. And for that, I think all of Hamilton should thank you. So congratulations to you and the rest of the team. There we go. The slow clap in the back. Well done to both of you. Pass along our congratulations to the rest of the team, and good luck in Indiana if you make that far, okay?
Thank you.
Okay.